My name is Maya Johnson, and I am the PAHS Band President. We would like to start off by welcoming you to the PAHS Robert Wachter Auditorium for a full night of music. At this time, I would like to request a few things of you as our audience this evening. Please silence or turn off all electronic devices. We ask that you do not enter or leave the auditorium during the performance of a song as it disrupts the students on stage. Please wait until the song is finished. We do not mind if you take photos of your child or children performing. We only ask that you do not use flash and be courteous to the viewers behind you. Please refrain from talking during the performance as we want everyone to hear every note and unique sound of tonight's performance. And lastly, please keep all small children seated with you at all times. If you have a crying child, we ask if you could please take them out into the hallway again, only to keep from disrupting our band students. Saving the best for last, I would now like to introduce you all to the most dedicated, lovely person that is our band director, Mrs. Katelyn Reichard. Her talents are unlimited, and you'll see one of them tonight. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy our show.
spring band concert. My name is Mrs. Katelyn Reichard, and I am the high school band director here at the Pottsville High School. We hope you enjoy our performance this evening. The song we just performed for you was, of course, our national anthem, but we also just played a title called Flight of the Thunderbird, which was written by Richard Saucedo and selected by one of our students. It was commissioned in 2004 by the Maui High School Band in Maui, New Jersey. The title of the song was named after the school's mascot, the Thunderbird. You heard two amazing soloists throughout the song, Autumn Hermine on alto sax and Saul Sanchez on trumpet. And of course, we did have a solo by Everett Walters on symphony. Our next piece is from our library and has been played a few times by the PAHS Concert Band. It was composed by Luigi Denza in 1880 to lyrics in the Neapolitan dialect, and it's known as one of the most famous Italian street songs. I'm sure most of you will recognize it. The kids definitely did. The merry Neapolitan tune sings of a young man who compares his sweetheart to a volcano and invites her to join him on a romantic walk up to the summit. It was written to mark the opening of the first cable railways on Mount Vesuvius. Since its premiere, the song has been performed by many classical singers, including Luciano Pavarotti, Andre Bocello, and Mario Lanza. Our arrangement is full of festive spirit and exciting correlations provided by our low brass and upper winds. Here is Funiculi, Funicula. features many melodies from the 2004 Broadway show, Wicked. This amazing Broadway show was reimagined and created as a fantasy film, with the first part releasing in 2024 and the second part releasing later this year. The storyline is set in the land of Oz before Dorothy Gale arrives from Kansas. The plot follows Elphaba, the future Wicked Witch of the West, and her friendship with her classmate Galinda, who becomes Glinda the Good. The story and the music is filled with depth and beauty. I remember seeing this Broadway show in 2005 with the original cast on Broadway, and it was amazing. So it was just a wonderful thing to be able to do it here with these kids. This powerful melody includes No One Mourns the Wicked, Dancing Through Life, Defying Gravity, No Good Deed, and For Good. You will hear many soloists throughout this piece: Emily Seidel on piccolo and flute, Ava Orlowski on clarinet, Autumn Fermite on alto sax, Maya Johnson on trumpet, Miranda Seeger on French horn, our low brass section, Colin Klein on timpani, and Tyler Sibbett on drum set. Here is our arrangement of Wicked. Joy. He took the two pieces, used the same general melodic, harmonic, and expressive content, and made it more challenging. Joy Revisited is somewhat longer, more technically demanding, and develops ideas further than its companion. short, Joy and Joy Revisited serve as two expressions of the feelings experienced by one expectant father who happens to also be the composer. He is feeling wonderfully anxious and exciting on this day. Ticheli also said, above all, Joy Revisited is an expression of its namesake, simple, unabashed joy. Throughout the piece, you will hear several soloists, Emily Seidel on flute, Ava Orlowski on clarinet, Autumn Fermite on alto sax, Miranda Seeger on French horn, Jake Powers on euphonium, and Everett Walters on timpani. encounters another young dancer, and the two began a flirtatious, seductive conversation through the art of movement. As the ballet comes to a close, Havana casts one finale, gleeful look at her or a would-be suitor before escaping into the night. To understand the difficulty of this piece, it was actually commissioned by the District 10 Ohio Music Educators Association for their 2018 District 10 OMEA Honor Band Festival. So this is a district band level piece. This piece will feature several soloists: Autumn Fermite on alto sax, Cole Hoke on alto sax, Maya Johnson on trumpet, Saul Sanchez on trumpet, Miranda Seeger on French horn, along with each instrumental section, the winds, the brass, and the percussion. We will let you decide who has the most fun. Here is Havana Nights. Pretty great, wasn't it? I said that was pretty great, wasn't it? At this time, I would like to recognize our students that have auditioned and made it into the following festival. So when I say your name, please stand up, but please hold your applause until the end so all students can be recognized. So to start off this year, the Schuylkill County Jazz Festival. These students were nominated based on interest and were selected based on experience and instrumentational needs. This was our first jazz festival that was hosted in Schuylkill County, and it was a 2-day festival hosted at Shenandoah Valley High School under the host direction of Mr. John Shaner and the guest conductor, Mr. Dustin Scherr. Some of them even got to perform solos. Our successful students this year were Eva Arlowski on tenor sax, Han Ganuski on trombone, and Tyler Sibit on drum set. Our next festival is the PMEA District 10 Band Festival. The student successfully auditioned at the beginning of December and made the PMEA District 10 Festival. She later participated in the 2025 PMEA District Band Festival on Saturday, January 25th, with several other days, at Catasauqua High School under host director Mr. Robert Arnold and guest conductor Dr. Brandon Robinson, who is the director of bands at Missouri Southern State University in Joplin, Missouri. Her successful audition landed her in the top 10, and she ranked 7th out of 30 students that were accepted. Congratulations to clarinet player Ava Orlowski. I would like to recognize our students who participated in the Lebanon Valley College Honors Band. These members were selected by me based on skill, talent, and dedication to the program. This 2-day festival was made up of our members auditioning for a seat in one of the 2 ensembles. Each ensemble rehearsed pre-selected repertoire picked by 2 collegiate-level professors and performed a concert Saturday evening. When I say your name, please stand up. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Emily Steidel on the flute. Igor Lowski, clarinet. Autumn Fermite, alto sax. Spencer Prestilio, tenor sax. Jackie Robinson, bass sax. Saul Sanchez, trumpet. Alejandro Ganuski, trombone. Jake Powers, euphonium. Julian Horvath, tuba. And Tyler Sibit, percussion. And finally, our Schuylkill County Band Festival. These members of the band auditioned back in November and successfully made it into the festival, which later they performed at a concert at Schuylkill Haven High School under host director Miss Katelyn Biggs and guest conductor Ms. Carol Lute, who is the assistant professor of practice and music and supervisor of the undergrad program at Moravian University. Congratulations to the following who ranked within the top of their section: Emily Steidel on flute, Ava Orlowski clarinet, Cole Hoke alto sax, Autumn Fermite alto sax, Isaac Seeger alto sax. Yeah, I know. This is the instrument that I play, so you can see. Just kidding. Spencer Prestilio, tenor sax, Jackie Robinson, bass sax, Saul Sanchez, trumpet, Miranda Seeger, French horn, Jake Powers, euphonium, Tyler Sibit, percussion, Everett Walters, percussion, and James Murphy, percussion. But we also had 2 students who successfully auditioned but were unable to attend the festival due to also participating in districts for swim. And those students were Michael Prestilio on trombone and Jillian Horvath on tuba. All of these students put in a lot of additional practice time for not only their audition piece, but also for the concert festival repertoire. They are enthusiastic, talented musicians who represent our high school music program with pride. Congratulations again. Our next piece is a lyrical, lush, romantic composition that captures the euphoria one experiences after being saved from an emotional crisis. The sweeping melodic lines and rich scoring catapults this listener to emotional ecstasy. This piece will feature Emily Steidel and Alistair Bruin on flute, Ava Orlowski and Kiara Jones on clarinet, Aaliyah Dean on bass clarinet, Autumn Fermite on alto sax, and Saul Sanchez on trumpet. Here is Redemption.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jolene Renninger, and I am the co-president of the Band Boosters. Just like to thank you for always supporting our kids in their fundraisers and and all the little raffle stuff that we do at these things. I'm going to hand the microphone over to Miss Maya Johnson, and she is going to pick the raffle winner. I can do the ticket number for you if you want mine. The winning ticket number for the Flower with the lottery tickets is 060303. You can see us out in the lobby after the concert is over. It's 060303.
Okay, so it is actually Mrs. Reichard's birthday today. So cupcake and pin, and I actually wanted to start a song that I want everybody to sing. Phillip, would you like to start it off? Okay.
You want to give me like a cue?
Okay. 1, 2, ready, go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Reichard. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I had no idea.
It's a nice thing.
It's my birthday.
It's your birthday.
At this time, I'd like to recognize our seniors and band officers as well. When I say your name again, please stand, but hold your applause until the end. Melissa Adams on flute, Emma Bouffard on trumpet, Charlie Brode, mallets and flag captain, Aaliyah Dean, bass clarinet and music librarian, Jaylene Grajeda, baritone, snare drum, music librarian, Joaquin Grajeda, percussion, equipment manager, Madison Hennick, clarinet, majorette, band secretary, Jillian Horvath, tuba and equipment manager, Maya Johnson, trumpet and band president, Kiara Jones, clarinet and band treasurer, Adelia LaSelva, Barry Sachs, majorette captain, band vice president, Joshua Price, saxophone, Mackenzie Reber, trombone, flag captain, music librarian, and Robert Rolavage, trombone and drum major. marching, and concert band. All of these students, including the rest of our seniors, are responsible for playing important roles for students and staff members. This senior class is amazing. They are a great group of kids who care about their band. I've had the honor to teach most of them since they were in about 5th grade. Some of them have been with me for almost 8 years, and we have created memories and formed special bonds that I will carry with me forever. I cherish each and every one of them, and I only wish the best in their future endeavors. Thank you for that. Every year I ask the senior class if there was a piece that really stuck out to them during their freshman year in concert band, or just throughout the last 4 years, and if so, if they'd like to perform it once more. This next piece is just that, and we all really enjoy the music from this movie series, which is How to Train Your Dragon. It is about the rugged Isles of Berk, where a Viking boy named Hiccup defies centuries of a tradition by befriending a dragon named Toothless. However, when an ancient threat emerges that endangers both species, Hiccup's friendship with Toothless becomes the key to forging a new future. Together they must navigate the delicate path toward peace, soaring beyond the boundaries of their worlds, and redefining what it means to be a hero and a leader. You will hear multiple melodies from this amazing score, along with solos by Emily Steidel on piccolo, Maya Johnson on trumpet, and Jillian Horvath on tuba. Here is How to Train a Dragon. Sorry, forgot to mention that. Our next piece originally is accompanying the 1911 silent movie, A North Dakota Misunderstanding. I have no idea what it's about because I've never seen it, but this song is pretty awesome. It is complete with trombone smears, a horse whinny, and lots of fun percussion. This piece features our entire trombone section and low brass section, along with Tyler Sibbett on snare drum for about a measure. The trombone section wanted to give a shout out to percussionist Everett Walters, who not only recommended this song, but learned to play the trombone this year to join in on their fun. He always sings a piece for trombone. feature two sections of the ballet, the Infernal dance and the finale. You will hear soloists from Emily Seidel on flute, Miranda Seeger on French horn. Here is our arrangement of Firebird. At this time, I would like to bring Senior Robert Palavich to the podium to conduct our next piece. He will be conducting our second Broadway melody, which happens to be a favorite of his and the rest of the band. This musical was premiered in 1975 in New York City and happens to be one of the longest running musicals in Broadway history. It is set in Chicago during the Jazz Age and is based on the 1926 play by Maureen Dallas Watkins about actual criminals and crimes on which she reported. The story is a satire on corruption in the administration of criminal justice and the concept of a celebrity criminal. As we perform this piece, you will hear several melodies from the musical, which include All That Jazz, Cell Block Tango, Roxy, and We Both Reach for the Gun. This song features soloists Maya Johnson on the trumpet, Jake Powers on the euphonium, and James Murphy on the drum set. Here is Chicago. but he has been an exceptional leader for our band ensembles. He is very motivated, determined, talented, and is always looking to help someone in need, whether that is his peers or me. I have relied on him a lot this year, taking over band rehearsals when I was absent from school, encouraging his peers, or just helping around the band with whatever I needed, which is a lot. He has the heart and ambition of a leader, and his passion for music, art, and drama shines through him every day. So Robert, it has been an absolute pleasure. I wish I would have had you in the band longer, but I know without a doubt you will do amazing things. Thank you. Our next song is a work designed to prepare the listener, you, through a world of conflict. Through the clashing of notes in the winds, to the large conflagrations ignited by the percussion, to the dueling scenes of calm and anxiety in the middle section, and the battling percussion and winds in the finale. These conflicts, these clashes, along with driving rhythms, pounding percussion, and a persistent eighth-note pulse, create a sense of urgency that slingshots the audience from one section to the next, all the way to the climactic finale. This piece will feature many soloists: Ava Orlowski on clarinet, Autumn Fermite on alto sax, Bryn Cannon on bells, James Murphy on bass drum, and Everett Walters on timpani. Here is Clash. Our Pottsville Area School Board of Education, Dr. Sarah Yoder, our superintendent, the Pottsville Area High School Administration, Tiffany Hummel, our principal, Jeremy Geiswhite, our assistant principal, Alicia Nye and Ellie Ashman, our supervisors of special ed. They are amazing admin who support the arts gratefully. Our Pottsville High School faculty and office staff, along with Brad Ross and his custodial staff that helped put this auditorium in tip-top shape for this evening. The Pottsville Area District Music Department and Marching Band faculty, Emma Libby, Michael Fries, George Hedges, Nathaniel Libby, and of course my marching band staff, Stephen Horvath, Casey Horvath, Denise Prater, and Lily Keesaw. Our amazing Crimson 8 band boosters, you guys, our parents and guardians of our performers, Denny Hardock in the Music Endowment Program, Stephen Horvath, our videographer, which you'll be able to view this video later on our YouTube page, our supporting community and alumni members, my loving family, who is always here for everything that I do. And finally, to these guys. Thank you guys so much for giving your all this year. Thank you for letting me challenge you in and outside the classroom. You are my favorite people, all of you. As everybody always says, we're family. This is why music is so special to me, because of what it is and what it does. It brings life, it motivates and encourages, it challenges and creates amazing, unbounding relationships. It's accepting, it lifts us up when we are down. It allows us to experience things on so many different levels. It's all consuming, and it's my life. Because of music and your kids, this is why I truly love my job, and I'm just honored to stand here to be their director. Thank you again for coming out and supporting these amazing musicians in our program tonight. It means so much. We would like to wish everyone safe travels home. Here is our last piece for you this evening, the Freelance March, none